I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we continue on our race weekend from the Nashville Super Speedway. And tonight it is the 18th race of the season for the inaugural season of the Duracell Ultra Lite Series. Kyle Langland may be making a late season push for the championship. 2 weeks ago, when we last saw these Lites drivers on the racetrack, Langland picked up his second win on the year at Gateway. He has jumped 5 spots in the standings to 5th, and he's only 27 points behind points leader Eric Monaco, and he starts from the pole position here tonight. Including this evening, there are 3 races left here in this season. Of course, there is a championship up for grabs, but more importantly, there is a guaranteed chartered ride in Season 8 of the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. And I mentioned about the fact that even though we have half of basically a cup field here in the Lites, and there's not a whole lot of points on the table, there were drivers that could mathematically, if they hit a really good streak down this home stretch, they could be in the conversation for this championship. We talked about the battle that's going on between Eric Monaco and Benny Watson, but we've also included in Austin Reed, 3-time winner David Dixon, John Lightning Jr., Steven Burnside. Kyle Langland, I don't think, entered into that conversation, but what a difference one race makes, because now he's got a shot, mathematically has a shot, especially if he doubles down with back-to-back wins and 3 wins on the season. Kyle Langland will be right up there in the conversation in our final 2 races, potentially for the championship. So we'll see what he's able to do here tonight, as it's an all-Ford front row. His fusion will join Sophia Simon. Sophia Simon had a decent outing at Gateway last time out. Jumped up 2 spots in the standings to now 18th in overall points. Now, Sophia Simon, it's easier to be able to name off the drivers that we know for certain will not be battling for the championship. We may see them in the upcoming second season here of Duracell Ultra Lites, but they more than likely will not champion their way into the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. But Sophia Simon still looking for that first victory on the year. There are quite a number of drivers that have gone to victory lane, but there are other drivers that still have that 0 in a win column, and they would love to be able to get a checkered flag before the season comes to a close. Sophia Simon would fit said criteria. The battle continues, it seems to be, between Eric Monaco and Benny Watson, with some outlying long shots still in the mix, depending on what happens here tonight, and of course in our remaining 2 races on the schedule. But it is 8-point advantage, Eric Monaco over Benny Watson, after Monaco was able to best Watson at Gateway. Both those drivers did not qualify well. They both ran pretty far deep in the field, but Monaco was able to find a bit of an edge at the end of that race and was able to build up a little bit more of a cushion than we've seen in weeks past between himself and the driver of the 75. We'll see if that gap increases or decreases here tonight. I believe Eric Monaco has qualified better than Benny Watson, but it is going to be a 45-lap event. We are going to see potential pit strategy come into play, so anything can happen between the dropping of the green flag and the flying of the checkered flag. Enough talk, though. Let's go down trackside. Let's get those most famous words in motorsports and get ready to go racing at Nashville Super Speedway.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
I'm up in the center of 1 and 2 up here, so as you're going down the back stretch into 3, it may appear to me that they're inside, but they may be just shy of that. I'll really try to stay on top of that all night, buddy.
Right side of your screen, you see your starting lineup for this evening's race. 45 laps, about 30 laps shy of what they'll run in the Cup race here tomorrow night. And Kyle Langland looking to join David Dixon as a 3-time winner on the year. Dixon stands along with his 3 victories. Langland, Benny Watson, and Hergio Alonso, the other repeat winners with 2 apiece. This race is going to be all about the long run, preserving your tires. Concrete surface, much like any other of our concrete racetracks like Bristol or Dover. It's going to be very abrasive on those good years. You're going to lose that maneuverability the longer the run goes on, so we may see some very aggressive racing here in the early going as through the Geico restart zone they come, and Kyle Langland's going to get us underway here tonight at Nashville. Skylar Taylor, former winner on the season, looking to the inside for the top spot here, down the back straightaway, going into 3 and 4. Sophia Simon dropped from 2nd back to 3rd. Cody Smart has moved into the 4th spot, trying to break into the podium. And Skylar Taylor on that inside line off of 4 is going to lead the first lap of the night. Sophia Simon now going to look for 2nd place on Langland. Langland with a nice run off the top of turn 2, though. Good run down the back straightaway. Might have a run on Taylor for the lead here into 3. Nope, not quite going to be able to make the move. Going to have to ride in line here through 3 and 4 and onto the front straightaway. Some jostling back here inside of the top 10. This is around the 8th position. Madeline Crenshaw looks to driver's left. That's John Lightning Jr. trying the bottom. Very shallow entry there into turn number 1. Saw John Lightning Jr. slide up the track. May have had to lift out of the throttle. Crenshaw will keep the position of 8th. Both of them trying to close in on Stephen Burnside for 7th place. Nose to tail for 5th. A couple of Toyota Camrys. Nathan Fogler in the 13. David Dixon in the 45. Dixon only 25 points. Behind points leader Eric Monaco coming into this one, the 3-time winner, trying to make a late season push for the championship. There's been a lot of talk as we look at Cody Smart going for 3rd place here. On Sophia Simon, been a lot of talk of the drivers up there in the point standings, where they may end up going next season if they end up winning the championship with that guaranteed chartered ride in Season 8 of Duracell Next Gen Cup competition. And a lot of drivers have already been tied to specific rides for next year. Eric Monaco has been tied to the 33 out of Michael Norman Motorsports. Benny Watson's been tied to the 78 out of Auto Junction Racing. Austin Reed, he's been tied to the 24 out of Northeast Motorsports. David Dixon to the 78 as well out of Auto Junction Racing. Remember, David Dixon drove for Auto Junction Racing in the showcase races last year when he piloted the number 77 in those 5 events. And Kyle Langland, while there's a lot of talk about him potentially going to another team, you have to think he would stay in-house. The 26 here in the lights fielded out of World NOS Racing. You have to think that World NOS Racing might expand to a 2-car team next year with Daniel Voiles and Kyle Langland. More than likely, Langland would be in the 62, while Voiles would still be in the familiar 26. Skylar Taylor, though, looking for his 2nd win on the season. We've talked about what Skylar Taylor has been able to do in the limited number of starts he has had as opposed to everyone else. Everybody else took the green flag to start out the season at Daytona. Skylar Taylor didn't enter into the scene until 7 races later. Has been able to rack up numbers that more than likely, if he had run the full schedule, would have had him also in the championship conversation. One of multiple drivers that have gone to victory lane here this season. Langland trying to run him down. Currently, though, it looks like Taylor is about a 10th quicker as far as the lap times are currently showing. Let's take a look at the battle for our points lead. Eric Monaco versus Benny Watson. We talked about Monaco had a better qualifying effort than Watson did. Right now, Monaco is holding down the 12th position, just behind Nathan Stapleton, just ahead of Jack Mitchell. We've heard that Jack Mitchell going to be opening up a Duracell Ultralight Series team next season, Adrenaline Motorsports. Jack Mitchell's also looking to get back into the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series in a chartered capacity. A lot of drivers searching for a charter next season. But let's find Benny Watson, who is right now back in 19th place, as is Austin Reed back here in dead last, 21st. That is second and third in points, running currently outside of the top 15, with Monaco holding down the 12th position. So Monaco may be looking to run away with this championship with only a handful of races left. Again, though, as I said, pit road could come into play. We will see at least one pit stop between now and the conclusion of this race. More so, I think, for tires than for fuel. But right now, advantage to the driver of the four, as second place is closed up. Ford Fusions, nose to tail, Langland, Sophia Simon, and Cody Smart. Two of these three drivers, winners on the season. Simon, the only one that hasn't gone to victory lane. You know, it's interesting, I mentioned here before we went green about the fact that a lot of drivers have gone to victory lane this year already, but there are some that have not yet gotten that victory and would like to close out the year with a checkered flag also. Sophia Simon, we've already documented, but also John Lightning Jr., Stephen Burnside, Nathan Fogler, Jack Mitchell, Cole Coiby, Kat Batson, Samit Oskin, and Nathan Stapleton. All still with a 0 in the win column and would like to change that. Highest running of them right now is Sophia Simon, but not that far back there in 6th and 7th. You've got Nathan Fogler and Stephen Burnside. So those drivers there, depending on potential pit strategy, we could find them up towards the front in the closing stages of this race. Looking here about 13 laps into this run, and we've got about half a second of fall off already, even just for our race leader. His fastest lap in the early going was around a 29.0, and he's been running consistently 29.5s here the last 2 or 3 laps. So we're definitely seeing the fall off here, and you have to think that that would translate into the green flag pit stop of about half a second could be gained if you called the undercut strategy, the short pit strategy, got those fresh tires and got that good out lap before everything cycles around. Single file for most of your top 7. Best battle right now is going on 8th place on back. That's where Madeline Crenshaw is trying to hold off John Lightning Jr. You'll see these drivers going into the corner running different lanes. The one of John Lightning Jr. will more than likely try and shade a little bit lower or a little bit higher, depending on where he feels comfortable going into the corner. Trying to get that clean air to the nose here as the tires heat up, especially that right front, and the aero tightness comes into play. You're looking for that clean air to the nose for that turn through the center. Eric Monaco is under fire. Jack Mitchell looking to his inside for 12th place. Monaco may have used up his stuff here and is starting to fade on the long run. No threat from Benny Watson or Austin Reed, though, because they're still back riding in the 20th and 21st positions. Last 2 cars on the racetrack. Good battling here side by side with Mitchell, now Virgil Alonso. Aaron Macklin, another former winner, in on this, as it looks like Monaco was able to hold off Mitchell and keep the 12th spot. Virgil Alonso will swing around the outside of Mitchell to take 13th. And behind them, Benjamin Snyder on the outside of Aaron Macklin. This is for 15th place. Snyder might have the advantage. I believe that outside line is starting to rubber in, starting to get momentum, especially off the corner. And there you see, Snyder will clear for the spot going into turn number 1. Roberto Crown Jr., Nathan Stapleton. This is for the 10th spot. Roberto Crown Jr. trying to hold off the Powerade Ford with the Beyblade Chevrolet. I believe this battle kind of closed up because these two were reeling in. Madeline Crenshaw and John Lightning Jr. as they were racing side by side for the 8th position. Those two have since opened up a bit of a gap between themselves by about 2.5 car lengths. And now it looks like the gap's going to open up a bit between the 21 and the 97 as we work further up towards the front here. Cody Smart putting the pressure on Sophia Simon, shows the nose down to the inside here on the front straightaway. He'll have that shallow entry into turn 1. And it's not going to work out in his favor. He's going to maybe get caught out by David Dixon. Nope, Smart's going to slam the door on the DHL Toyota and hold on to the 4th spot. Two entirely different corners here when it comes to Nashville Super Speedway. You do have to use quite a bit of brake into what's almost a 45-degree turn with very low banking over here into turn 1. Turns 3 and 4 are more of your typical cookie-cutter speedway corners, a little bit more well-rounded, not a real abrupt transition in terms of banking. So 1 and 2 is where a lot of the moves and a lot of the passes take place. The problem is, though, if you don't have the grip on that inside line, with how much you actually have to lift and how less banking there is over in the entrance to the first corner, the shallow entry to turn 1 is not going to help you. It's going to hurt you. Well, we are now almost halfway, and we are a full second slower with our lap times than we were in the early going. 29.975 for Skylar Taylor, a full 9/10 slower than what he ran in the early going. The gap right now between himself and Kyle Langland, though, is about 1.5 seconds. So if we're looking at a second gained on an undercut strategy, that would mean, by basic math, that Langland, if he were to pit 1 lap sooner than Skylar Taylor, he would gain 1 second, but still be 0.5 seconds behind the 54. And then the 54 would have the advantage of having that 1 lap fresher tires if the run continued on into a long green flag run. So they've got to close this gap up, is basically the main point. As I think they may have lost 1/10 right there to Skylar Taylor. Taylor that time just actually ran a complete full second slower. 30.078 to his 29.078. So a full second of fall off there. And the question of when do these drivers plan to come to pit road? We're at the halfway point, so they could certainly make it from here on out. But looks like they might want to, I don't know, they might try and stretch it as far as they can go on fuel, or maybe as far as the tires will allow. The only reason I could see you going long on this run is you want to have as much grip as possible in the final spurt to the finish. I don't think it would have anything to do with taking on less fuel because you're going to change 4 tires anyway. You could come down pit road and take on 2 cans. You could come down pit road and take on a splash. Doesn't matter. You're still going to sit in your pit stall as long as it takes to change all 4 tires. But it might be, as I said, the case of trying to, rather than preserve your tires for a 23-lap run, maybe preserve them for a 15-lap run. Those 8 laps, it may not seem like it, but they can make a lot of difference. Well, one thing I was going to be interested to see with this Lights race in preparation for the Cup race tomorrow night was going to be, would it be a driver get to the front and stay at the front and nobody be able to reel them in? Because 1 season ago, it was RJ Bishop who started on the pole, led the most laps, and went on to win the race in a dominating performance. Now, Skylar Taylor didn't start this race from the pole, started from the 3rd position, but as soon as he took the lead, he set sail, and it is looking very similar to what we had in the Cup race 1 year ago. So, you look at the drivers earlier on tonight that qualified up inside of the top 10, and most importantly up inside of the top 5, including 3 playoff contenders. You got to think they're liking what they're seeing right now in this Lights race, and with the history we know with the Cup race, that good starting track position could very well translate to good finishing positions for them, and maybe a victory, and if not a victory, pointing their way into the round of 12. That will be tomorrow night to cap off our race weekend here from the Nashville Super Speedway. Skylar Taylor is still running lap times faster than Kyle Langland and this group behind by roughly about 2/300ths. And that little bit of an advantage is allowing him. Wow, that was a big slide for Cody Smart, who nearly took out himself and Sophia Simon. And David Dixon now will look to the inside and maybe go for a twofer, try to go from 5th up to 3rd. Oh, no, Dixon's coming in. And I believe Skylar Taylor made the dive onto pit lane from the lead. So this is pit stops coming up with about 16, 17 laps to go. These drivers can make it on fuel. Now it's going to be a question of execution coming in, coming off of pit road, and the pit stop in between. This will actually be the first official lead change of the night as well. Skylar Taylor took the lead from Kyle Langland on lap 1 and led the first 28 laps. Langland finally leads a lap and now is coming to pit road with, looks like, the rest of the drivers that stayed out on that first lap of pit stops. So we will now wait and see where Skylar Taylor cycles around after all this. You have to think Skylar's going to be back in the race lead, but by how much of an advantage will be the question. David Dixon coming off pit road 2nd, Stephen Burnside 3rd of the drivers that came to pit road on lap 28. And Taylor will now look to get up to speed as quickly as possible. Put those fresh Goodyears to good use. And have maybe more of an advantage over Kyle Langland and company after these green flag pit stop cycle. That was Langland, I think, just now coming off of pit road. And Taylor's already going into turn 1. This is going to be a huge gap that the 54 is going to build. We haven't yet reached 10 laps to go. Now, what Langland, I think, would need to have happen is to get out there without traffic. Oh, look at that. There's your undercut. David Dixon and Stephen Burnside are going to leapfrog the 26. Langland, who was 2nd when the pit stops began, is going to be all the way back in 4th place. So now it's actually going to be Toyota versus Toyota. The 54 of Skylar Taylor versus the 45 of David Dixon. Waiting for scoring to come in and show what the gap is between 1st and 2nd here, with what's going to be about 13 laps to go when we hit the stripe. 1.6 seconds from Taylor back to Dixon. That's kind of similar to the advantage that Taylor had over Langland before the pit stops began, but now the question is lap times. Who is running the faster lap times here? Taylor just ran a 29.340. Dixon was a tick quicker at a 29.301, and Stephen Burnside was faster than the both of them at a 2.60. But is there enough time to be able to reel in Skylar Taylor? If you're David Dixon, I feel like you got to do more than hundredths. That time, a 29.215 to Taylor's 3.27. There you go. That's about a, what, 11 tenths? That's a 10th.1. I don't know how you would count that. A 10th and a 100th that he just gained right there. And if he can maybe catch the slipstream, catch a little bit of draft off the back of the Costco Toyota, he might be able to close in even more. The problem is, though, how much tire is he going to have when he gets there? Because catching him is one thing, passing him is another. For Taylor, he's not battling for the championship. He's just out here trying to win races, build a resume in preparation for the upcoming 2nd season of Duracell Ultra Lights if he indeed secures a ride. For David Dixon, it's a little bit more big picture. Not only is he looking for his 4th win on the season, but remember, we mentioned the fact he is 25 points out of the points lead. He's going to gain a good chunk here tonight if he finishes right where he is, because after the pit stops, Eric Monaco is 17th and Benny Watson is dead last. Austin Reed is 19th. Those are the 3 drivers that are ahead of him in the point standings right now. Mathematically, he would be ahead of Austin Reed for 3rd. He would potentially be ahead of Benny Watson for 2nd, and he would have closed up 15 points between himself and Eric Monaco, so it'd be only 10 points separating him and Monaco for the points lead heading into our next race. So I know he wants that win. I know he wants those bonus points, which would close up the gap even more, but he can make, if he does catch the 54, he's got to make sure he doesn't throw away at least a top 2 finish. Looks like, though, he may have used those last couple of laps trying to run in Skylar Taylor, and now he's paying the price for it because Skylar Taylor, that last lap, was about 10th quicker. That time, though, 29.4. Now 29.4 for David Dixon as well. So you're seeing, boy, this track really kills the tires. Burnside also with a 4. He's still running consistently faster lap times than the 2 ahead of him, but he would have to deal with Dixon before he could get up there to Skylar Taylor, and laps are beginning to run down. Kyle Langland, who was running second for most of this race, we're definitely seeing you want to do the undercut strategy in tomorrow night's Cup Series race to gain track position, because he decided to come to pit road 1 lap later than the 3 drivers ahead of him and finds himself now in the 4th spot. Granted, he has 1 lap fresher tires, but it doesn't look like it's really gaining him much. He is running faster by about maybe 6-7 hundredths than the 3 drivers ahead of him, but he's reeling in Steven Burnside. That would only be for the podium. There's no way, unless a caution were to come out, that he'd be able to have a shot at Skylar Taylor. And I should mention this, that last year, the Cup race that we had here at Nashville Superspeedway, we ran caution-free. We are looking like we are going to run caution-free here in this Lites race, so you're expecting to see a yellow flag in tomorrow evening's race here. Don't hold your breath. It could happen, but I feel it would be a freak caution than anything. We'll just have to wait and find out. 5 laps to go for one Skylar Taylor, who is looking to join the names of David Dixon, Benny Watson, Kyle Langland, and Virgil Alonso as a repeat winner on the season. 7 race deficit in terms of starts, but has definitely made an impact in the races he has been a part of. And just turning those consistent lap times. Dixon was actually quicker that time, but only by about 4 100ths. Hundredths aren't going to do it at this point. Skylar Taylor has led every lap but 2. Those 2 laps are led by Kyle Langland. Langland led 1 lap under green after Taylor dove to pit road during the cycle of green flag pit stops. And then Langland led the 2nd lap because his pit stall was down past the start-finish line. So he led that 2nd lap on pit road. The remainder of the laps have been led since the start of the night by Skylar Taylor. And Taylor is now at less than 3 to go. Battle here closing up for 2nd potentially between David Dixon and Steven Burnside. Dixon going to have to fight hard here to keep this spot, as right now it could be a difference maker into him being 10 points behind Eric Monaco and 10 plus points behind Monaco for the points lead. But David Dixon, we talked about Kyle Langland making a late season push for the championship. How about David Dixon, the 3-time winner? He's been consistently inconsistent as Dixon. Yeah, he's had 3 trips to victory lane, but he's also got an average finishing position of 10.4. That is the worst of all drivers inside of the current top 8 in the standings. White flag, though, going to be in the air. 1 lap to go for Skylar Taylor as the battle's still on for 2nd place. Burnside to the inside of David Dixon. Kyle Langland trying to close up here on those fresh tires to make it a 3-man fight inside of the podium. Looks like Dixon's going to hold off Burnside on the high side off of 2, but nobody within striking distance of Skylar Taylor. Taylor started 3rd, has dominated this race after taking the lead on lap 1, and Skylar Taylor, for the 2nd time in his career, is going to victory lane the Duracell Ultra Light Series. It happens here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway. Again, as I mentioned, can you imagine if Skylar Taylor, with the numbers he's putting up here, and 7 less starts than everybody else, where he would be in the conversation for the championship? I think he'd be front and center. He could potentially be points leader. Certainly would be mathematically in the conversation each week of taking the points lead into the next event. But now becomes the 5th different driver this season to have multiple victories on the year. And he becomes the 3rd driver out of the Toyota camp to be able to do so, along with Dixon and Watson. Virgil Alonso and make that Virgil Alonso's the only driver out of the Chevrolet camp to do it, and Kyle Langland the only driver out of the Ford camp to do it so far. Standings are official as we ran the full 45-lap event under the green flag, and here's the way they finished. Taylor brings it home with the win. David Dixon in second, so a Toyota 1-2. Stephen Burnside, the highest finishing Chevrolet, in third, and Kyle Langland is going to bring it home in the fourth position. So Dixon and Langland, we mentioned about those two, fourth and fifth in points. Where are they going to be in terms mathematically of the points lead heading into next week? Because look at your top three in points where they finished here tonight. Monaco, the points leader, in 17th. Austin Reed in 19th. And Benny Watson in 21st. So for Monaco, while it might not seem like much, that's 4 more points that he gains on Watson. That's 12 points he'll have over the 75, but I believe there'll be a new second-place driver in David Dixon. And I believe Kyle Langland may very well have worked his way at least up to 4th. Let me see. He was 19 points behind Watson coming into this race. He finishes 17 points ahead of him. Also had a bonus point for a lap led. Ooh, I think it's going to be Monaco, Dixon, Watson, Langland, Reed. The top 5 in points, I think, heading into our next race, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Let's take a look at the rest of the finishing results here, or at least of our top 10. Langland with that 4th place finish. How about Sophia Simon? Good run here for her tonight. Really needed some good mojo to come her way after she's struggled this season. She's going to garner a top 5 after starting the outside of the front row. 6th place is going to be Cody Smart. Good run for him. 7th place for John Lightning Jr. and Roberta Crown Jr. as well. Going to bring it home in 8th. Couple of drivers inside the top 10 in points. Going to finish in the top 10 here tonight. Nathan Stapleton, good run for him in the 9th spot. And Madeline Crenshaw is going to bring it home in the 10th position. We talked, though, about those drivers, Monaco, Reed, and Watson. It will be interesting to see where they are in terms of their situation for the next race and the finale at Michigan. We've got only 2 more races left. It's going to be 4 weeks until we get to that next race at Boston International. And then, as I just mentioned, the season finale for both Lights and Cup is at Michigan International. So we will see what the storyline will look like heading into our next race. And also can't wait to see how this weekend caps off with the Cup drivers taking to the track tomorrow evening. But Skylar Taylor, 2nd win on the season here for that young driver, as he'll take the checkered flag here tonight at Nashville Super Speed. If you guys enjoyed tonight's race, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. We've shown you full video results, and you're now looking at the point standings. A lot of shaking up there in the top 5, heading into our next race in 4 weeks' time, a full month at Boston International. But until then, and until tomorrow night, if you join us here for the Cup race, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching the broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA, offline racing at its best.